You cannot change. You will always be a monster.
I know. I'm a god, boy. From another land far from here. When I came to these shores, I chose to live as a man. But the truth is, I was born a god. And so were you. Being a god, it can be a lifetime of anguish and tragedy. That is the curse. But I am your monster no longer.
Hello and welcome back to another figure review of God of War Kratos and Atreus Sideshow piece. I'm actually really excited to bring you this one because I was like talking to my fiance. I was like, which one should I do next? And she's like, God of War. I was like, yeah, that's my girl. Anyway, so this piece I absolutely love. It's got a story behind it too, if you're keen to listen. But this is a really nice piece. It has a good, I'd say, sculpt. The paint work is okay. It's not the best, but you know, it works for the piece. So the story behind this piece was me and my fiance went to America. We went to New York and we were just, you know, sightseeing, going around. I was like, oh, look, hey, look, a GameStop. So we went to the GameStop and then they had this underground area in New York City, of course, where they had a ThinkGeek. And we went down, we're looking around. I was like, oh yeah, there's a Carnage little figurine. I'll pick that up for a souvenir. And I was like, yeah, this is a pretty cool place. It looked a lot like a place called Zing in Australia, which is where I'm currently living. And yeah, we were just looking around. They had some pretty cool stuff. But then I saw him behind the counter on the shelf. And I was like, hell yeah, I want that. But I was like, it's really expensive for at the time because like Australian dollar wasn't the best. So I was just like, I can't afford it. I can't do it. The box is probably massive. As you know, if you are a fellow collector, you'll see that the boxes are huge. A lot bigger than the statues, which is always a problem when you're, 15 hours away in a flight. So I went back and like, I couldn't get it out of my mind and I just had to pick it up. So I got it. I bought a suitcase in the States for this particular statue. And I was so surprised. I asked the guy, I was like, I want that one. I was like, oh, just to let you know, it is broken. And I was like, oh man, what's wrong with it? And he said that all the attachments to this piece was broken. Like the horn here was broken, the quiver here, the little arrows the little arrow tips or ends that go in there. And I was like, no, that's fine. I could probably fix that. And the problem was, it wasn't broken. It was just, it didn't fit snugly in there. I'm not too sure if it was just this piece or because it was a display piece in the shop. That's why it was broken. I wasn't sure. Either way, I picked it up. I think he gave me like a 15% discount on it, and it was like, yes. So I picked it up and I loved it. And the axe, I guess the axe edge here broke off, and it was fine to all glue back together. I rigged it a little bit so that all the little pieces that he thought was broken fit snugly, and yeah, voila, we have a 6-scale God of War statue. It was like one of the only ones that came out at the time. And of course, Sideshow beat everyone to it. And it has a good, pose to it. It's got some Easter eggs in the base. It's got a good calm Kratos, an eager Atreus. If you've played the game, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And then you've got all these runes on the base here. Each piece has a different rune, and it really looks like a God of War PlayStation 4 base, kind of thing. It's got a massive troll head. It's just severed at the head, and a big log covering up some of the gore. You see some of the gore here as well. Big horns broken off from where Kratos elbowed it to get to his head. Yeah, it's just an awesome down piece. You got Atreus standing on it like he's ready to fire at anything and everything that he's pointed at. Kratos is telling him to back off, wait for my signal. And yeah, it's an awesome piece. The pose is very, very good. Not sort of a museum pose, not really a dynamic pose. You got Atreus slightly bending his knees, but that's about it. It just means that it is a, thing that you'd see from the game. The sculpt is very nice. Everything looks like it's meant to look. There are a few imperfections, but minor things if you don't mind them. For example, the axe detail on the axe head is very much, I think it might have been a molding problem, because the detail's there, but you can't see it all that well, as if it's been sanded off or something. It's nicely weathered. You got a lot of you still have a fair amount of detail, but you can only just make out the proper detail. The axe handle looks amazing. They got everything in there perfectly. All the rune symbols on it. You got Brock and Sindri's fork on the back. The dragon head looks awesome. The leather wrapping looks pretty good. And the red is the red wood, or whatever wood it is, looks awesome. It's really well done. Then you got the clothes. The clothes is done really well. The pants look like it has this kind of like rack sack or potato sack look, which I assume they would use that. The leather wrappings around his leg. You got the big leather cloth in the front and the belts. And you got his old school, like God of War 1, 2, and 3 little tassel things that hang down from the Greek stuff. You got the horn looks really nice. I'm pretty sure the horn gets replaced with Mimir's head. Spoilers. Mimir's head at some point. You got like the fur looks okay. It's not the best, but it works. You got the little God of War symbol and the dragon where he hooks his axe on. The face is done really well. A little bit more detail in the beard. Maybe a little bit more shading in his eyes would have done well. You can see his scar across his eye. And this is an interesting choice of sculpt, but the tattoo that he has is actually slightly raised above on the skin. I assume that's what they did so they could paint it a little bit easier. But you got this like flesh tone and then some white over it. You've got the thing that I was really surprised with was his bandage over his forearm. It looks like real material, better than like the rucksack thing on his legs, but it looks like real material. The paint is done nicely, and then you got his chains around his forearm peeking up at the top there. It's like a red flesh tone. You got the scar across his stomach. The buckles are painted well. And you got Atreus. Atreus has a lot going on too. I'd say it would have been a little bit harder to paint him than Kratos because he is so small and finicky. Especially like his tattoos around his arm or his forearm and like down his hand. Yeah, and then you've got like the leather strappings as well. You got the white fur on his chest, his shoulders and back. Yeah, like the hair's done quite well. It's got that like mohawk looking thing. If you watch Vikings, you know what I'm talking about. Shaved sides and then like a slight mohawk. The quiver looks awesome. It's done really well. Again, it looks like real leather. The only problem that I would have liked to see is maybe have the bounding material that they bound all the leather with, maybe a different color. But it looks like they put this whole thing is covered in a dark light wash. It's got dark washes on almost everything, especially the axe. I love the axe. It looks awesome. yeah, you got this leather band going across it, holding it together. You got the stitching holding all the leather pieces together to make the quiver. You got 2 arrows in there. I'm not too sure if there was more, or if generally it was broken from when I got it. But there are no more quivers, just 2 in the top there. The axe handle. Oh, not the axe handle, the axe, just this big chunky part of the axe is real metal. So is the whole arrow of Atreus. That whole arrow is metal as well, which is quite nice. I think they cheaped out with the bow and arrows, or the bow's string. They use like that, I don't know what it is. This is like stretchy string kind of thing. It's not bad. Like the only problem with it is it after a while with heat and cool up and down rising in Australia, it starts to sag a bit. It's easily replaceable, but I don't want to take away from the authenticity. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The face is done nicely. Atreus looks good. Kratos looks good. Atreus looks alright. The only problem that I see with his face is just where the eyelid at the bottom is meant to be, on the inside of the eye, like the eyelid bit that closes or whatever. It's just flat skin tone. So if you were to put a light onto the top or light on from the bottom, you can see that quite noticeably. It takes away from the blue in his eyes, which is okay, but you know, what can you do? There's imperfections in everything these days, but it's only what you can get away with yourself, that you like yourself, you know? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like the snow. Okay, so this is where the paint comes into effect, where it could have been a lot better. It seems like they cheaped out on the wash of the snow, where it's just flat gray or black tone, and then just white kind of like dabbled on it, which makes it look a little iffy. But you know what it is when you see it. That's what I don't mind. And the back of the troll's head is like that too. It's just black or grey and then just red, same red color, just dabbled through it. The log looks alright. It looks pretty cool. It's not bad. It's just the same like grey tone. I think that's the base color for this, the base color for the base. And then just like a darker grey over it, like a woody grey, I guess. And the same with the roots in between Kratos' legs. Yeah, this piece came out in 2018 or 2019. I'm pretty sure it was 2018. So there are 750 pieces in the world of this guy. I've got 222, and that's a pretty cool number. Yeah, he looks awesome. I'm so happy that I got this guy. It has such a big meaning. I actually ended up proposing in New York Central Park. I actually proposed to my fiance in Central Park, and I got this bad boy as the biggest souvenir I've ever gotten from going anywhere in the world. So the 2 best things was the proposal and the statue. I really do think that. Yeah, I loved the experience. I love the statue. I'm so happy I picked it up. It was a bastard to get here, but I got it here. I was either going to ship it to myself or I was going to carry it in a bag. And then when I saw the box, I'm like, I'm going to have to carry it in a bag. It's probably going to cost a lot to ship. And yeah, and I had to pick it up. I was so worried the whole flight that this guy would have broken. You know, customs in airports aren't very nice. But I absolutely love this piece, and he is something I'd never sell. It's got too much nostalgia to me. I love it so much, and yeah, it's just such a good piece. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy.